everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the all-new Nightbringer, the Catan, the redesigned, gigantic, much bigger than I thought, incredibly beautiful new version of the Nightbringer. I think this is absolutely fantastic. I love this because it's really, really mind-bendingly difficult to look at, and it looks like it's going to be a hell of a challenge, but I think we've got a really, really cool recipe lined up for you guys, and it shouldn't be too difficult to actually implement it to this model. Just about managed to make it through that sentence. Anyway, a massive thank you goes out to Games Workshop for sending me this one early to build up and paint with all of you, and that is exactly what we're going to start doing today. So, bit of admin before we get into it. He's basically split up into three main categories, one of which is the sort of scarabs and all the energy stuff underneath, the sort of crackling lightning. Then he's got the entirety of the robe and the handle of the scythe, and then there's him and the blade itself. And that's basically how we're going to break this down. But another thing to point out is this is going to be one of those models where you really have to trust the process. So this is going to feel like it's going to look really ugly for a long time, and then it's all going to come together. And this is why I hope the recipe I've got is fantastic. So without further ado, let's jump in. As I think I've already mentioned it, but we're going to mention it again. It's been primed in grey Seer, and the colour we're going to be using first is a roughly 4 parts Dark Angel's Green to 2 parts Lahmian Medium mix. And we're going to be applying this over top of the inside and outside of the bottom part of the cloak, and we're going to be blending it. And we're going to be saying that a lot as we go through. So we're just going to start here on this little spoke. I'm going to start applying this Dark Angel's Green all the way up to roughly that sort of area, just there, like that. Then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we're going to blend this into the primer. And this is what I mean about how it's going to look really ugly for a little while. But trust me, there is a plan. And we're going to do this all the way along to the same sort of height across the inside and the outside of the cloak. So with that Dark Angel's Green and Lahmian Medium mix applied, should look something like this. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts Terradon Turquoise to 2 parts Lahmian Medium, and we're going to go over the top. We're going to do it a little bit less. Like that sort of thing. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of ruin it in some more ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts Luxion Purple to 2 parts Lamy Medium Mix. And over the top of the inside of the cloaks and drapes and various different things is we're going to apply this Luxion Purple just like this sort of thing. But what we're going to do is we're going to blend it before it gets to the green. Like that, leaving basically a sort of very weak, slightly stained area in between the purple and the green. And so with that Luxion Purple and Lamy Medium mix applied, we're then going to do the same thing as we did with the Terradon Turquoise. Only this time what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts Volupus Pink to 2 parts Lamy Medium mix. I'm going to apply this over the top. And so with that all done, it's another blend. Shock. What we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts Kroxigor Scales to 2 parts Lamy Medium mix. We are now going to apply this over pretty much everywhere we haven't really done. But we are going to be blending once again. So we're just going to start applying this over the top of the outside of the robe, for example. And then, once we've got this over like that, just going to twizzle. Like so. We're then going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we're going to blend the Kroxigor Scales into our other colours. Now there's a bunch of details like the outside of those trails where there isn't any other colour. We're just going to be applying this over top of all of that. However, one thing to note that we're going to do here with the Kroxigor Scales is on the inside here of this cloak, we're applying this over the top of this sort of middle patch, but we're going to be blending it on either side. So, for example, here we're going to apply this like so. Wash the brush, touch off the water, blend at one end into the pink, blend at the other into the green. So with that all done, all of our pre-shades are now on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts Black Templar to 2 parts Larmian Medium. We're going to apply this over top of the whole lot that we've just done, excluding the green towards the bottom, where we are going to blend it once more. Just like that. So with that all done, you should start seeing the vision starting to come to life. It's looking all right, but we've got one more pass over the top of the lot of it with a little bit more blending. Well, it's not going to be the last of the blending, but we're going to be using the same mix again, a roughly two parts Black Templar to 1 part Larmian Medium mix, or in the case that we've been doing 4 parts to 2. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding this to the darkest areas that we want to be black. So, for example, we've got this section just here on the front. Like that. Wash the brush and then blend it either side to smooth out the transitions. And so with that all done, just to sort of seal it in a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Nuln Oil. We're going to apply this over top of the darkest areas. And we're going to apply this, well, the simplest way of saying this is we're going to apply this over the areas we want to be the darkest. But we're also going to apply this pretty much over the top of everywhere where Kroxigor Scales was the main colour. So with that all done, you should have a Nightbringer looking somewhat like this. Now, I did mention at the top of the video that we divided this into sections, and one of those, including the robe, was the handle of the scythe. And so we're just going to do that now very quickly. what we're going to do is we're going to take some Terradon Turquoise. I'm going to apply this over the top of the handle of the scythe. And whilst we wait for that Terradon Turquoise to dry, in the interest of saving some time, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start working on the rest of the Nightbringer himself. And I'm going to start by taking some thinned down Grey Knight Steel. I'm going to apply this over the top of his body and his blade. With all that Grey Knight Steel applied, we then take some Black Templar, because it's dry, and we apply this over the top of the handle of the scythe. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Larmian Medium and Space Wolves Grey. And we're going to apply this over top of all of our Grey Knight Steel. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Akhelian Green, and we're going to apply this over the top of this back part of the blade up to there, like that, and then along the back part with that Akhelian Green applied. Over the inside cutting edge of the scythe, what we're going to do is we're going to apply some Drakenhof Nightshade. However, the other thing we're also going to do with the Drakenhof Nightshade is we're going to apply this over top of the recesses in his body. So with that all done, we're now going to take a roughly 2 parts Black Templar to 1 part Larmian Medium mix. And we're going to apply this over top of the Akhelian Green on the back of the blade. Like that. And then, coming up the base of the spine, scythe, I'm going to apply this to around about halfway like that. Then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we're just going to blend it like so. And so with that now done, what we do is we take some striking Scorpion Green, and we're going to apply this over top of the inside of the scythe. So with that all done, believe it or not, that's another part Warhipster battle ready. So now it's time to work on our third section. And this is all of the kind of scarabs and the lightning. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some thinned down grey Seer. Nice and simple. I'm going to use this to now correct all the mistakes across all of this stuff. With all that grey Seer reapplied, we're now going to take some Tesseract Glow, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the crackling energy. So whilst we wait for all that Tesseract Glow to dry, what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Terradon Turquoise. We're going to apply this over top of all of the little black stone bits on the backs of all the scarabs. So with that all done, the Tesseract Glow should now be finely dry. So in order to take the edge off it, what we're going to do is we're going to shade it with some Biel-Tan Green. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Black Legion. We're going to apply this over top of the legs and the undersides of all of our scarabs. And so with that Black Legion all applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Runelord Brass. We're going to apply this over the top of the little heads and the little carapaces. And so with that all done, we're then going to shade all of that brass with some Agrax Earthshade. And so with that shade all applied, we then take some grey Seer. We use this just to pick out the little balls, and of course relayer the large ones if you've gone over those, because these are going to glow in just a moment. And so with that done, we then once again take some Tesseract Glow and we apply this over top of the balls. So with that all done, the Nightbringer is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready all over. So it's now time to take him to the next level, and we're going to do this by adding some highlights. Now the first of these is going to seem a bit weird, but what we're going to do is we're going to start with some thinned down Kabalite Green. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the lower areas of the cloak that we originally did with all those greens. So with all of that Kabalite Green applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Moot Green. We're going to use this to add some little spot highlights to that green area. It's a little bit too heavy there. There we go. With all that Moot Green applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Tesseract Glow. And inside these little lines, digital lines and stuff that are inside the cloak, we're just going to apply this. So with that Tesseract Glow applied, we will need it again, so don't put it away. What we're going to do now is going to move on to our next colour, which is going to be the sort of pinky purple areas. And what we're going to do for this is we're going to start with some thinned down Screamer Pink. I'm going to use this to highlight the folds and edges in the cloak. So with all of that Screamer Pink applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Emperor's Children. I'm going to add a really tiny little spot highlight just over the sharpest points of all of this purpley pink stuff. And with that Emperor's Children all applied, what we're now going to do is, well, probably the highlight that's going to take the longest, which is to work on all of the really dark stuff. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some thinned down Russ Grey. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the darkest black. So with all of that Russ Grey applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Fenrisian Grey. I'm going to use this to add some spot highlights to all of that black. And with that Fenrisian Grey highlight applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to add a very gentle little dry brush of Blue Horror. And we're going to do this across the sharpest points that we want to add just a little bit of extra brightness to. So for example, around the hood, across this kind of middle section here, over his shoulders, and any corners. So with that now done, we've actually completed a huge amount of the Nightbringer, and he looks absolutely fantastic. However, we've still got some more black details to deal with, so that's what we're going to do next. And the first one of these sets of black details that we're going to deal with is all of the legs and underbits of the Scarabs, that's the word. And the colour we're going to be using for this is some thinned down Dawnstone. With all that Dawnstone applied, we're then going to once again take some thinned down Kabalite Green. I'm going to use this to highlight the handle of the scythe. And with that Kabalite Green applied, we then take some thinned down Cyberite Green. I'm going to use this to add a really small, slender highlight over the top. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Temple Guard Blue. I'm going to use this to highlight the back non-cutting edge of the blade, as well as the kind of base of it. Just back here. And with that Temple Guard Blue applied, we then revisit some Moot Green, and we use this to highlight that inside cutting, well, inside edge. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Baharoth Blue. I'm going to use this to add some little spot highlights to the blades, so just picking up those sharp little corners at the back there. So that sort of thing. But the other thing we're going to do with the Baharoth Blue is going to use this now to highlight all of our little blackstone bits on the Scarabs. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Grey Knight Steel. I'm going to thin down just a little bit more than we would normally, sort of 3 or 4 parts water. I'm going to apply this over top of the part of the blade that we want to be shiny. But what we're going to do is when it gets to where we added our Black Templar glaze, or rather our Black Templar blend, we're going to want to blend it back the other way. Just whilst we wait for that scythe blade to dry, speaking of Grey Knight Steel, what we're going to do is we're going to take some regular thinned down Grey Knight Steel. I'm going to use this now to relayer his skin. We just want to avoid anywhere where our shades are settled. Just returning some delicious shine to the model, like that sort of thing. And so with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of our silver, including the blade, with some thinned down Stormhost silver. So with that all done, believe it or not, we are just a couple of steps away now from finishing. But one of these is to once again take one of our favourite paints from this tutorial, which is some Tesseract Glow. And we're going to apply this over the top of his eyes and inside his mouth. Just like that. And like that. But the other thing we're going to do is on his back there's a little sort of engine type job which we need to apply some Tesseract Glow inside. And so for our final step on the Nightbringer, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Canoptek alloy. I'm going to use this to highlight the brass of our Scarabs. And there we have it, with the base completed in the same style as our Necrons that we have done in the past, particularly on the Void Dragon. It's Astro Granite with Black Templar, dry brush with Tyrant Skull. Our Catan Shard of the Nightbringer is now finished. And like I said, this is a trust the process type model, but ultimately you end up with something that looks absolutely spectacular like this, even if I do say so myself. Wow, what a miniature. What a great start to the year.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/Warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.